Police in Maine today officially identified 34-year-old Shelby Kuyawa from Hawaii as one of 6 people who died on board a private plane that crashed January 25th during takeoff in Maine. Chef Nick Mastroscusa from Hawaii Island was previously identified as one of the victims as well. Both Kuyawa and Mastroscusa had worked at a Kona Gulf resort. The 6 people killed in the crash were flying to France's Champagne region to scope out the next travel destination for high net worth clients.